transgenders. These want me dead. I've gone too far. I've said too much. And I gotta tell you, I'm very worried about it. I'm not even joking. Every time I come out on stage, I be scared. I be looking around the crowd, searching for knuckles and Adam's apples to see where the threats might be coming from.
Looking for Adam's apples in the crowd? Is that Dave Chappelle? He gets in big trouble because he does comedy. Remember comedy? As Rick from Ottawa was saying, the left kills comedy. They murdered comedy. I was talking to somebody about this a couple of days ago. Oh, the woman cutting my hair. Oh, who incidentally is on the LGBTQ, just by the way, and she's been cutting my hair for like 20 years and all of that. We were talking about how the left has murdered comedy. It's not a good thing at all. But they do a lot of things unintentionally that turn out to be pretty funny. For example, the Washington Nationals baseball team put out a press release yesterday, and the press release reads thusly. Now, you remember when the Democrats lost the House of Representatives and Nancy Pelosi decided to stay on, I said the news media will declare her to be Speaker Emeritus. I said that, and I said, it sounds like a joke, but I'm not joking. They will dub Nancy Pelosi as Speaker Emeritus, no longer Speaker of the House, but they will bestow her this honorary title.
Nancy Pelosi will remain in sort of an emeritus role here. She could stay in Congress and just leave leadership. And that would mean that she's still physically here as an emeritus role.
Staying on as kind of an emeritus rank and file member.
Certainly as a Speaker Emeritus whose wisdom we'll all benefit from.
The Washington Nationals put out a press release yesterday. That's because I said this, and then they proved me right within hours. Media montage. And yesterday, the Washington Nationals put out, they're having, gay night or something at the baseball park. And their headline is Speaker Emerita. Emerita, not even emeritus. Emerita Nancy Pelosi to throw out, I think that's probably an overstatement, ceremonial first pitch at Nationals Night Out on Tuesday. The night out, it's the night out, see, because everybody out, and they couldn't book Nancy Pelosi more than a day in advance because, So Speaker Emerita, the press release from the baseball team says in Washington, D.C., Nancy Pelosi will throw out, a little optimistic, the ceremonial first pitch. I think maybe they'll probably have her stand, she's not going to be on the pitcher's mound throwing heat from the mound and, put her cleats on and kick it off the rubber, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll probably have her stand about 4 feet from the catcher, and he'll stand up and hold his mitt out, his catcher's mitt out, like he's catching rain, and they'll have Nanny kind of drop it into his mitt. But she's not exactly Jim Thorpe at this point. So she'll throw out the ceremonial first pitch, the Washington Nationals Night Out, and the word out is in all caps. Celebration on Tuesday, June 6th. It's D-Day, the 6th of June, and at the Washington Nationals, our nation's capital, baseball stadium, as a special guest of the game's presenting partner, Team DC. This year's Night Out celebration is the club's 18th, making it the longest-running Pride event in Major League Baseball. The first 20,000 fans in attendance will receive, what do you think they'll get? A Screech Night Out bobblehead. Now, Screech is the team mascot, right? And I don't know if you know this, but the team mascot, Screech, is a colleague. Well, he used to be. He was the Screech for like 13 years or something like that, right? And he was the Screech. Now he's the producer for the Vince Colonnese show in the evenings, right? And his name is Corey Ingemort. And Corey Ingemort he's a great guy, and he's Vince Colonnese's producer in the afternoon. And he was Screech, the mascot at the ballpark for, I think, 13 years, right? And he appeared with Vince Colonnese on Vince Colonnese's show the other day when they announced they were giving for the Screech Night bobblehead doll to the fans. He said, this is, please, and he came on Vince's show, and he objected, and he said, I was Screech, I was the mascot for years, and he says, and I've been gay all my life, right? I've been gay all my life, and I find this whole thing to be offensive, Corey. And again, everybody at the station loves Corey. He's a great guy, and he came on Vince's show and said this whole thing with the Knight and the Pelosi and the Screech and the free bobblehead doll and the Out Night, can we just play ball? Does everything have to be politicized by the left? And the answer is yes, everything does. Walmart does, religion does, baseball does, basketball does. Phil Jackson, the legendary player and coach, Phil Jackson, NBA, said that he can't even watch the NBA anymore because they've politicized it to the point where they've rendered it unwatchable. Taken knees at NFL football and Targay is politicized, and it's so often the sexual politicizing of children, isn't it?
Whatever it is, I'm against it.
From Disney with the mustachioed princess thing and all of that. So Nancy Pelosi will not be throwing anything, but she's there to ceremonially whatever on Out Night as though anybody cares. I mean, honestly, and let me say I've known Corey for years. And I found out like yesterday or something that he's gay, and I could care less. Can we just all calm down and start acting like we live in the 21st century, because we do? And then the Human Rights Campaign, the old Green Book, they made a movie about it and all that stuff. And now it looks like the Human Rights Campaign, a gay advocacy group, is putting out the Pink Book because we're all in grave danger every time we go outside or something like that, which is simply not true. But it's a popular myth that the Democrat Party likes to spread around. And the Human Rights Campaign, oh no, because we're going to put together a list of places like Florida is not safe to go. There's nothing could be more ridiculous. And they love to say, trans people are being murdered as never before. Let me just share a couple of stats, and then I'm going to move on to, war and January 6th, and the 6th of June, and not January 6th. But let me go to this story from April 28th of this year, 2023. Don't believe the activists' hype. There is no, quote, trans genocide, which they're peddling and the Human Rights Campaign is peddling, and it's just fake. The Human Rights Campaign, for the first time ever, declaring a national state of emergency as LGBTQ plus Americans face extremist attempts to roll back our rights. You mean kindergarten twerking? Is that a right articulated in the Constitution somewhere?
I like to be close to the children.
It's more important than ever. We have the necessary resources to stay safe no matter where we are. Okay, well, go anywhere you'd like, because really it's not a thing. Now, trans people are not under threat. Let me go to some stats from this New York Post piece from just weeks ago. In fact, they are no more at risk of being killed than non-trans people. The FBI crime statistics for the whole of the year 2020 across the United States, there were a total of 266 hate crimes against transgender people. Now, and most of them overwhelmingly are committed by people they know, may even have a sexual involvement with, according to the FBI stats. In total, 44 members of the trans community were murdered, right? And that's funny, there's a Bud Light ad just below this. As Dennis Keneally notes in the Washington Examiner, this works out to a murder rate for trans people of just 2.66 people per 100,000 transgender people. The murder rate for the general population is almost 3 times as high at 6.52 people per 100,000. Last year, the number of trans people murdered dropped to just 32 in a country of 330 million people. Every one of the deaths is, of course, a tragedy. It's a murder, after all. but they currently do not amount, certainly do not amount to a genocide or anything of the kind. So, in fact, you're 3 times as likely to be murdered if you're not transgender. So if you're really worried about, then you should become transgender, become much less likely to be murdered. But never mind that. All right. Now, and all of this happening on Nancy Pelosi throwing the pitch on the 79th anniversary of the invasion of Normandy. All right. And with that, let's go to a phone call. Let's go to Dakota, calling from St. Augustine, Florida. Dakota, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
All right, I just wanted to mention a shout-out to Round Canopy Parachuting Team. My father is a jump master for them, and he's over in Normandy right now doing a commemorative jump for D-Day.
Is that right? And what's the name of his jumping team?
The Round Canopy Parachuting Team.
The Round Canopy Parachuting Team. Very cool. And are they doing a demonstration at Normandy for the anniversary?
Yep, they are. Actually, in years past, the last few years, they've actually taken some of the vets from Normandy and jumped with them tandem, but I think they may be getting at the age where they can't do that. But yeah, they're doing a whole reenactment and everything.
Yeah, I think you've got to be like 97 years old or something to have been there
right.
79 years ago. And your father is retired Special Forces?
Yep, Special Forces, Airborne, and, he retired. He's still jumping out of airplanes.
Because once you get into the habit of jumping out of airplanes, it's a hard one to break.
Oh, he loves it.
That is great. All right, and he's over there now, and he's jumping with his team. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for him. I bet we'll see the team jumping out there in the video universe today. I'm gonna look for it. And Dakota, thank you for calling in. God bless your father.
Thanks, Chris.
You bet. All right, now let's get. We've got so much stuff. We still have the FBI to get to. The crooked FBI, and we're going to get to that. Tomorrow I will play the recording that I have of my father, World War II veteran, Navy fighter pilot, and an interview that he did aboard his aircraft carrier, D-Day +1. In fact, I play a little teaser, do a little teaser of the thing, because we did put it together with photos of my father and his ship. Actually, got a bunch of pictures of my father's ship, the USS Tulagi. We built 100 aircraft carriers, more than 100 aircraft carriers in World War II. I'll just give you a little teaser. I have the record album at home from which I made this recording, transferred this recording, and you can hear the needle scratching and then the kind of the government thing begin. Listen to this.
This is D-Day +1.
D-Day +1, the recording begins, and Armed Forces Radio, an amazing recording. I'll share it tomorrow. A little teaser. And we did post it online with photographs. I think we'll do that again tomorrow as well. It's official, reports say that the banking collapse of 2023 has been more devastating than the banking collapse of 2008 was. And right now, a series of global financial dominoes are falling all over the place. It's not over yet. Don't wait for that email saying, sorry, your account has been frozen. We've got to take action now to protect what we've worked so hard to build over the years. Time to call my friends at American Alternative Assets and request your free wealth protection guide. Give them a call today at 888-4-GOLD-20. That's right. Call them at 888-446-5360. This invaluable guide will outline the precise steps you need to take immediately to transfer your IRA or your 401k into precious metals, all without tax consequences. So call American Alternative Assets at 888-4-GOLD-20 to claim your free gold and silver guide and get smart. Educate yourself. Once again, that's 888-446-5360. Individual results may vary. There's no guarantee that past performance will be indicative of future results. Seek your own legal, tax, investment, and financial advice before opening an account. Bomb. Yeah, we still have the FBI, Congressman Comer, and Speaker McCarthy, and more on our FBI. I think we're going to need a new FBI. And we're at 888-630-9625. Hey, Chris here with some exciting news. Now you can listen to me live on the WMAL app. Doesn't matter if you're in your car, in the office, on the go. The WMAL app delivers crystal clear around-the-clock news coverage anywhere with cell service or Wi-Fi. So don't miss a second of your favorite shows. Download the WMAL app today on the Apple App Store or at Google Play Store. You know, in New York, they're always coming up with good ideas. I'm being facetious. The city that never sweeps. And their mayor, very disappointing mayor, Eric Adams, I had a lot of hope for him when he was elected. But he's just been a disaster. And he's got more bad ideas. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Chris, calling from Elgin, Illinois. Chris, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. Thank you for being a truth teller.
You're very welcome. I wouldn't know what else to do.
So I read with interest that Eric Adams had a vision for individuals inviting illegal aliens into their home. And so I had my own vision, and that was that Eric Adams would lead by example. I was thinking there might be some empty bedrooms in the mayor's home.
In Gracie Mansion.
I wanted to suggest that, yeah.
A big old house. You know, we were planning on talking about this today, Chris, and I saw you on the phone. You know, I'm coming to Chicago later this week. Did you know that?
Yes, I hope you have a lot of security.
I am coming in for a WLS event on Thursday evening, and if you go to the WLS website, there is still a small number of tickets available. And yeah, we have Eric Adams, but you should go. Yeah, you know, if you're there on Thursday night, come up and introduce yourself, would you?
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you very much. And here's Eric Adams with this really bad idea. We got all the illegal aliens, and it's overwhelmed the system in New York City, which is not a border city. And he's saying everybody in New York should take illegals into their homes.
It is my vision.
It's a vision.
To take the next step to this, to go to the faith-based locales, and then move to private residents. There are residents who are suffering right now because of economic challenges.
Because of Biden.
They have spare rooms. They have locales.
It's becoming the Soviet Union, Chris. And that's his vision. He's a visionary. Right, Chris?
Yes, he is. He is a visionary for sure.
Yeah, and same kind of visionary Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov was, the man known as Lenin. This is the left. These are not liberals. This is the left. They're insane. They're turning our country into the Soviet Union. Wow. In California, they love crime and they love criminals. And they disdain normal people, decent people, God-fearing people, law-abiding people. So Newsweek magazine has the story, Bill to Stop Employees from Confronting Shoplifters, passed by California Senate. And the Democrats, they love this bill. Lawmakers in California are hoping to push through controversial legislation that would ban retail staff from stopping thieves stealing from their stores. What about owners? Does it say anything about owners? Senate Bill 553, which was submitted by State Senator Dave Cortez, doesn't say here, but he's a Democrat. We looked him up. has been passed by the state Senate and will now progress to policy committees in the state assembly. Cortez hopes to move the proposed law and believes it will prevent workplace violence. It's a pro-violent criminal bill. It gives a green light, a free pass to violent criminals to go into stores, steal everything they want, and it's illegal, making it illegal for the employees of the store to do anything to stop them. This is like one-stop shop for anarchy, for Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Now, the fabric of society, you found a key thread, and you pulled out that thread, and the fabric of society comes unraveled. That is genius if you're an anarchist, and I assume that Steve Cortez is. Cortez. Yeah, he hopes the proposed bill will prevent workplace violence and protect staff from being forced by their employers to step in during robberies, like Lululemon. But some store bosses are furious about the plans, with the California Retailers Association mocking the move as an open invitation for thieves to, quote, come in and steal, end quote. Pretty obvious. The political wrangling in California comes just weeks after Home Depot security guard Blake Moles, 26 years old, was shot to death during an attempted robbery in Pleasanton, California. That's why they call it Pleasanton. Other cities in the state are also facing their own problems as they attempt to deal with lawlessness. This is Newsweek magazine. San Francisco has been gripped by a crime wave that has seen Whole Foods close its downtown location after just a year in business. It was their flagship store, too, with bosses saying they were unable to ensure the safety of their staff in the city. Nordstrom followed suit by leaving the city this month. There was the Nordstrom department store. It's a big, giant department store. And the Nordstrom Rack, which is a sort of smaller, version of the store with their seconds or whatever. Many other smaller businesses have had no choice but to remain despite attacks on their premises. Now, this is the Democrat Party. This is their solution. Here's a picture of a smashed-out storefront because Democrats smashed out the glass and went in and stole everything they wanted because anarchy is the new order of the day for the Democrat Party. Genderless anarchy. Okay? Anti-American, unpatriotic, genderless anarchy. And men dressed as women twerking in your kindergarten kid's face with male genitalia. That's all fine. And Nancy Pelosi throwing out the first pitch on Pride Night at the Washington Nationals ballpark on D-Day, giving an all-new meaning to D-Day. But that's another thing. Yep, honestly, the proposed new laws come as stores have blamed shoplifting for hitting their businesses, with Target issuing a statement in November blaming organized retail theft for an eye-watering $400 million in losses to its profits in 2022, just because of Democrats shoplifting. And make no mistake, the Democrat Party is behind all the shoplifting. They normalized it during the riots because St. George of fentanyl was the sainted hero of the day, and they looted and burned Washington, D.C., and cities from Seattle and Portland to Miami and Atlanta. And then when they normalized, and then we had Democrat members of Congress and stuff saying it's reparations and it's deserved and nobody should worry about it. And now they've normalized it. And in my neighborhood, women that run stores lock their doors all day long, and they're going to go out of business because the Democrats. And I told you about the eyeglasses store my best girl and I went into, and the two women in there were terrified. And so the door was locked, and we were like, oh, they're closed. And then she came over and looked around like we were going to do a drug deal or something through the glass door, and finally let us in, and then locked it behind us when we came in and said, well, we bet, these young men, Democrats, come in and just grab everything they want and walk out. And the obvious threat is they're going to beat up the women in the store. And this has become normal. This is so commonplace now that you can only call it normal. It's not just Washington. It's all over the country. And the Democrat Party and the media have done this. But I repeat myself. Isn't that amazing? So now Democrat Cortez is pushing this in California, and it will doubtless pass. And they do it saying this is to protect employees from Democrat violent criminals who are not being arrested by the police, who have been threatened, and not being prosecuted by the prosecutors who were put there by George Soros. And, honestly, in San Francisco, even the crazy people of San Francisco removed Chesa Boudin, their prosecutor, who was put there by George Soros. Chesa Boudin, of course, the son of cop-killing radical left-wing terrorists / college professors, literally. And Chesa Boudin, when his parents went to prison for murdering police officers during robberies to fund the communist revolution, was picked up and raised because he was a baby, and they're out killing cops when they had a baby at home because they're Democrats and communists and terrorists and cop killers, murderers, and college professors because the left, right? Honestly. And then Chesa Boudin was picked up by fellow terrorists, William Ayers and Bernardine Dorn, and raised by them, the people that palled around with Barack Obama when Barack Obama, whose mentor as a child was Frank Marshall Davis, he was a teenager, who was a card-carrying member of the Communist Party in the United States of America. And then Barack Obama made John Brennan, CIA director John Brennan, voted for the Communist Party candidate Gus Hall for the presidency of the United States and bragged about it for years. Not that there is anything going on here. All right, now, that's your Democrat Party. Let's go to some audio. Let's go to soundbite number 8. This is the Speaker of the House yesterday talking about the FBI. A couple of members of Congress finally got to look at a somewhat redacted document that the FBI's had for more than 3 years about the Biden family from a trusted confidential source. About the Biden family, Joe Biden, taking $5 million in a pay-to-play scheme, being bribed. And the FBI's had the documentation and the confidential informant for at least 3 years. And yesterday, a Republican member of Congress put it out there and said, well, the FBI is afraid that the confidential informant will be murdered, presumably by the Biden family, if his name is revealed. Isn't that amazing? Here is Congressman Kevin McCarthy, Speaker of the House, yesterday after 2 members of Congress, Comer and the pirate Jamie Raskin, were allowed to see it in a SCIF, a secure facility for viewing classified documents, even though this isn't a classified document. It's an unclassified document. This thing stinks in 5 different ways. Kevin McCarthy.
This document is not even classified. What is the first thing that Director Wray said? He didn't even acknowledge whether he had it. He said he wouldn't provide it. I had a phone call with him, explained to him if he does not provide this, we will hold him in contempt. Now he said, yes, we do have the document, but he'll only show it to the chairman and ranking member. That is not how the Constitution works.
We will hold him in contempt. There are at least a couple of grammatical errors in there, but he's on a roll, so let's get him go. Kevin McCarthy.
If he doesn't come forth and allow everyone to see it, we will move contempt charges against him on Thursday.
Why not today? Honestly, today is Tuesday. It's contempt charge day, for which I will gladly pay you Tuesday. Honestly, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, a Republican from Florida, after being briefed on the activities on Capitol Hill, she made allegations in a tweet on Monday, that's yesterday. Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, the Kentucky Republican, and ranking member Jamie Raskin, the Democrat from Maryland, were allowed by the Bureau. It's been subpoenaed. And they've had it for years, and it incriminates the Biden family and Joe Biden himself. Allowed the Bureau, the Bureau allowed the review of the accusations to the informant file, as it's called, in the Capitol. And she, Congresswoman Luna, wrote, just left meeting with House Oversight. The FBI is afraid their informant will be killed if unmasked, based on the info he has brought forward about the Biden family. That's what she wrote in her tweet. Now, if that's true, who would be the people to kill the informant? We seem to be suggesting that the Biden family would be responsible for murdering the informant. And otherwise, why would you be afraid to make the name of the identity of the confidential informant public? Congressman James Comer is the one Republican who actually got to see the document.
My question to the FBI was, what exactly have you done with this accusation? Because the FBI admitted that this is a highly credible, in fact, one of their most highly credible human sources. They admitted that they had paid this source a substantial amount of money, and he had been a part of the Bureau for 13 years dating back to the Obama administration. And their answer to me, Sean, was, well, it's now a part of an ongoing investigation. We don't know which investigation. We don't know when the investigation began. All we know is 2 weeks ago they tried to act like this form didn't exist, and here we are today with the FBI bringing the form to the House of Representatives.
Form? What form? We don't know. We don't know stupid form. I got no form. Oh, this form? Is this the form you're looking for? Yeah, that's the one that the whistleblower came to Congress to tell us about, and the FBI has been concealing it like a third world banana republic machete-carrying gang of jungle dwellers, honestly. Congressman James Comer yesterday.
The Oversight Committee will follow the facts and be transparent to the American people with our findings.
Well, that'd be a good idea. What about the FBI? Congresswoman Nancy Mace was on the Fox News channel this morning. What was this? The 5 o'clock hour, at the end of the 5 a.m. hour. And I was watching for you, so you could sleep in. And Congresswoman Nancy Mace on the investigation and the FBI and the cover-up.
This investigation on oversight, the FBI trying to stonewall the committee. They said these documents didn't exist. Come to find out they did. They eventually allowed 2 members of oversight into a skiff yesterday, but the information was redacted and the members couldn't take the documentation with them. And then now we're seeing, smearing of the whistleblowers and confidential informants, and come to find out they don't want to share that document, not because the whistleblower isn't reliable, it's because they're too reliable and they need to protect that whistleblower. So this has just been a very messy week already, and it's Tuesday.
Yeah, and it's Tuesday. The Secure Confidential Information Facility, the SCIF, only in Washington. Congresswoman Nancy Mace.
We learned that this information is credible, that the whistleblower is extremely credible for this investigation. And we said early on, look, we said if the FBI is unwilling to do their job, we will do their job for them. And we weren't kidding. In just over 48 hours, the Oversight Committee will have a markup hearing where we will hold the FBI, Christopher Wray, in contempt if he does not supply the committee with this documentation so all of us can see it.
And then he should be put in handcuffs and dragged away out of Reagan Airport. He flies government, private now. Congresswoman Nancy Mace.
The American people deserve to know if their president was bought and paid for by communist China, Russia, Romania, and other assets that are not our friends, not our allies around the world. They ought to know that, if we're going to hold one side accountable, if only Republicans are going to be held accountable, if the left is above the law, or Democrats above the law, or people in the administration above the law.
Then Congressman, left-wing radical extremist Maryland Democrat Jamie Raskin, who is the ranking Democrat on the committee, and got to see the document too. He came out, there's nothing to see here. This is all old news.
I'm just surprised that my colleagues want to try to litigate this in public, much less hold the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation in contempt for complying with their request when there was a whole process that was undertaken, and that process came to its natural end, as I understand it.
As I understand it. Hey, snakes and weasels everywhere in Washington, D.C. Jamie Raskin. You might have seen him on the television a number of times recently. He's battling cancer and going through chemotherapy, losing his hair. So he's donned a kind of Pirates of the Caribbean approach to bandanas on his head, looking like Johnny Depp as a pirate. And a different one every time I see him, too. I hope he gets better so he can be held accountable in the end. Also in New York, you remember when the Biden administration was mailing out crack pipes to people and then they said they weren't crack pipes? They were just Pyrex tubes that came with brass screens and rubber mouthpieces and chapstick. I thought the chapstick was a nice touch, wasn't it? And so what you do with it when you get it, that's up to you. But we're not sending out crack pipes. We're just sending out all the elements that you'd need if you wanted a crack pipe. Well, now in New York City, because they're certifiably insane, Narcan and crack pipe vending machines. White flag of surrender to addiction is the headline in the New York Post. And they've set up vending machines where you can go get the elements for a crack pipe, the glass tube, the screen, the rubber mouthpiece, just like the Biden White House was sending out. And they're free, right? And Narcan, which, you know, when you overdose on fentanyl, you're going to need a dose of Narcan, right? Isn't that right? Because it is for fentanyl, not for heroin, right? I think it doesn't work for heroin. So they've got blue vending machines, and you can go up to the blue vending machine, and they're free. So they'll be emptied out in minutes because, you know, they know how to do everything right, don't they? Big story in the Washington Post today on the number of carjackings in Washington, D.C. We're up to 321 carjackings so far in Washington, D.C., although that's not in the Post story. I had to go look it up myself. That means there have been 5.2 carjackings per square mile in Washington, D.C. so far this year. So there we are. All right. Let's, we don't have any time, but let's go to Steve calling from Sarasota, Florida. I apologize, Steve. I got very little time for you, but I think you wanted to make a quick point about those dang Californians.
Yeah, Chris, welcome from sunny South Florida here. But I think I need to warn my friends and neighbors that we're going to have another wave of economic migrants from California dropping in, as well as all the rest of the places in the nation that have gone absolutely crazy. So, I mean, it was huge waves and stuff like that have been coming, but I think we're getting ready for a new one.
Yeah, when you say huge waves, you have the Atlantic Ocean on one side and the Gulf of Mexico on the other side. You're talking about human waves of people fleeing Democrat-run states, aren't you?
Exactly, Chris. We're just waiting for them to come.
When they get there, you should put them on buses and send them to New York.
Well, they have to go somewhere. If they have a D by their name, I think we have to get rid of them.
Yeah, what does that D by their name mean again? So giving all new meaning to the term D-Day.